Hey everyone, I wanted to give you a little bit of printing advice and saving advice when it comes to these type trials so that you don't run into any hiccups later. So the first thing I'll talk about is that you're going to need to save your document. It seems super remedial, but I'm going to show you actually a couple of different ways that InDesign lets you do it. So the first is that you can simply come up here and go save, and it will of course save. Any unsaved documents, as an aside, if you haven't saved something, it means that there's an asterisk. That means there's been changes since the last save. So if you see that, you do need to save to make sure it's up to date. The first thing I'm going to have you do after you save it is to go Adobe Pdf Presets, High Quality Print. And I'm going to give this a name. In this case, I've already pre-saved it, so I'm just going to replace, but you could give it a different name. It's going to pull up this dialog box. There's a couple of things that are important here. The first is that I'm going to set my range, in this case, to 2 to 3. Again, so I omit that first blank page. No reason to print a blank page. So I'm going to go to 2 to 3. In your case, it might be 2 to 5 or 2 to 11 if you're doing all of them at the same time. The other thing you're going to need to make sure that is absolutely checked is that you're printing spreads and not pages, and that's going to keep those spreads together, those two pages together, so that we're viewing them two on a single page, which is part of the assignment. So make sure that is checked as well. We're going to go to Marks and Bleed and turn on Crop Marks. Now you do not have to actually trim these down. We're going to use that margin area to add some additional information when we do our critique, so don't do it. But we are still going to want to know where the border is, so we have kind of an idea of what's going on. The next thing I'm going to do is click Export. It's going to pull up a warning that there's overset text. All that means is that this text continues to run outside of the text frame. As I discussed in the previous videos, that's not an intrinsic link. This text frame is not going to expand to show you all that text by default. And so it's just giving you a heads up that, oops, maybe some of that text that you thought was there isn't. In our case, we know that, and so we're going to click OK. In other cases, it's going to be super critical to pay attention to that. So don't think that this is always going to pop up and you can ignore it. Once we click OK, we're going to come over to where it's saved. There it is. And this is essentially what we should end up. Now, if you had several spreads, you would have a